And also, when we were talking with Dennis, he said that because you've been an editor and done a lot of picture books, that sometimes you have say in who does the illustrations. How does that work?
Rarely, rarely. I can suggest.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally, now I just had an agent who's in the same agency as my agent send me some pictures that one of her illustrators had done. Now I've done two books with that illustrator,
Mm-hmm.
and she said she has these three pictures. One is of a wolf with its arm up, as if it's volunteering for something. One is a sheep that's knitting directly from its, from its wool, and one is a king who's a crocodile, dressed all in king robes, and his two dancing daughters, who are also crocodiles, obviously, who are wearing ballet tutus. And I worked on a book called The Wolf with an Arm on a Hinge, because my mother had always said that I had an arm on a hinge, meaning I volunteered for everything. And but both, well, all three of us, the agent, the illustrator, and I know that it's harder for me to sell a book with an illustrator already attached.
Hmm.
So this is just, we're trying this, we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing if this will work. And if it doesn't, the illustrator will go her way and I'll go my way, and I will have this picture book that I will be allowed to sell even without her art,
Mm-hmm.
because she only had one picture of the wolf with the arm up. But she's trying to, she had been away from, from publishing for a while, and she's trying to, I assume she was raising a family, and she wants to get back in. So this was her way of seeing if, because she doesn't write.
Hmm.
And illustrators have to kind of wait, if they don't write, have to kind of wait till somebody calls them up and says, we've got a great book, will you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Dennis does write some of his own books too, so at least he has that.
Oh, so I have the book here, and I'm wondering, do you have a favorite page from the finished version of the book?
Let me think. It's been a while since I looked through it. I'm being vain. That's Dennis. He used himself.
Oh, you didn't tell us that.
Look at that.
No, I didn't.
That's
It does
clearly
look like
Dennis.
him.
Yes, clearly Dennis. I once asked him, because when we did a book called Wings, which was a retelling of the story of Daedalus and Icarus, and the gods. He has the gods up in the sky, and it was clearly Dennis and his wife Lauren and their baby. And I said, "Do you consider yourself gods?" And he said, "No, just cheap models."
He did say he uses his family as models a lot.
Yes, yes. Seeing these all over again is wonderful. I'm very fond of this one because you just get the sense of this gawky individual, very much apart from the people, and absolutely overwhelmed by the big city that he's never been in. It's quite a lovely picture. He's really alone there, and this is fun because of the situation where he simply went into a ballerina. He was madly in love with the prima ballerina, the idea of the prima ballerina, and he went and he took off his boots and he started dancing for her. He couldn't dance, but he just said, let me dance for you." He would go up to people in the streets and tell them his poems. He was a dichter, he said, which is a poet, and he just always would sort of stop strangers. He was a very strange man, actually. Now, this is the picture that I have, and I'm very fond of it. I'll show it to you in a minute. He went to school at a much older age than others, and he did not get along with his teachers. Yeah, I think those three are my favorites. This one where he's totally overwhelmed. This one where he's dancing for the ballerina. And the one that I have where he's going off to school with the other school children, and the difference. He was big and tall and, scraggly anyway, but compared to the boys whose class he was in, he was really tiny. And the school teacher is there with his arms closed. He was kind of a nasty school teacher. And I think those are my three favorite. But I love each of these little things where you have a little sort of vignette from, and they're that's a very 19th century painting. And that's what Dennis was getting at, that kind of 19th century look to the whole book, which is wonderful. And of course, there I am sitting on the lap of the statue of when I was very young.
Where is that statue?
In New York City, in Central Park.